like I had to stand and talk and act in the language I used and everything. But when I finally left corporate and became an entrepreneur, I started to realize that wasn't working. People would come up to me and say, Shannon, you're a great speaker. You're a fantastic speaker, but it wasn't translating. I wasn't connecting with people. And that's because I was not being my authentic self. So I finally just gave myself permission to be myself, said F it, threw caution to the wind. I'm goofy, I'm weird. I talk with my hands way too much. Ask me about my MasterCard story, and I will be happy to tell you about that embarrassing moment. But I figured I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And when I finally started to do that, that's when I found my voice. That's when I discovered who I was and what my passions were. And also that's when I started to really connect with my audiences, and it started to help me grow my business organically. So it was just this magical transformation of attracting opportunities, clients, and collaborators. And now I have the joy of being able to help other people do the same thing, to shake off all those pretenses around what public speaking should be, about what communication should look like, and really find a way to tap into your authentic self and share that. And then when people are asking me, well, how do I use my hands? How do I speak? How do I do this? We take what is authentic and natural to you, and we help you just refine that. Because at the end of the day, you have to be yourself. That's how real connections are made. And that's what drives me, is seeing someone walk through my door, maybe unsure, nervous. There's a lot of people who are afraid of public speaking. Show of hands here, who is afraid of public speaking? It's really almost 3/4 of the population of the world has glossophobia. That's a little word for you there. How many of you have heard that word, glossophobia? That's actually the term for the fear of public speaking. There's a clinical term for it. So now I really get a lot of joy of being able to help people find their voice, hone their message, and deliver that with confidence, whether it's in the boardroom or on the stage. And this picture is me at my TEDx conference. So I help people with that too. I help people land TEDx and then build their TEDx and deliver it. That's a little bit about me. Now I want to learn a little bit about you. We're not going to have time to go around to everybody this morning and do a short introduction. Don't worry, we'll be doing introductions as we go along. But I'd like 2 or 3 volunteers that want to share their quick 30-second intro with us. And for those of you who don't feel comfortable hopping on screen, I want you to go ahead and drop your little 30-second intro in the chat for us. So let's see whose hands are raised. Okay, Lamar, let's have you introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Lamar Radcliffe. I am a retired veteran, recovering banker, retired financial advisor. My passion is helping people in transition. Although I'm retired, I find that helping others is helping myself. I welcome the opportunity to help you grow your network and build win-win relationships. Lamar Radcliffe.
Thanks, Lamar. All right, Jeffrey, I see your hand up.
Thank you. Just pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Hi, everyone. Jeff Delwish. I am a passionate content marketer seeking my next remote role with tech nerds, weirdos, if you will. Shannon, own it, embrace it. I'm in the Milwaukee area, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I'm a cheesehead, and I'm here because of Lamar Radcliffe. So it was only fitting that I would follow his intro. Thanks for letting me speak.
All right, great. Thanks so much for being here. And I see several other people are dropping their intros in the chat. Make sure to connect with each other and read about each other as we go through this day. So before we get into how to really restructure our intro and ditch that elevator pitch and that memorized thing that just sticks out, I want to go through a few things. First is first impressions. How long do you think it takes to make a first impression? Drop it in the chat. How long do you think that is? 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, 5, 4. We're just counting down here. 7, 6, 5, 4. We got a 3, 2, 1. 7 to 10 seconds. All right. Y'all are pretty on the nose. It takes about 7 seconds on average to make a first impression. However, I've got some bad news for you. A Princeton study actually found that it only takes about 1/10 of a second for us to form impressions about others. And a lot of it has to do with facial appearance, the way you look, the way you dress, all of that. And they found that longer exposure didn't really change that first initial impression. That said, if you're dealing with open-minded people, yes, prejudices can supersede a first impression. You can definitely make changes to impressions, but that first impression is there. So you have to think about how you come out of the box with that. And then once we get beyond that first impression, we have to grab people's attention, right? How do we grab them and hook them in? And then how do we keep them engaged? Make sure that audience is still on our side and listening to what we're saying and engaging with us, whether that's in a networking situation, a one-on-one conversation, a presentation that you're giving. We've got to hold their attention, right? And get them engaged. So drop it in the chat again for me. How long do you think you have to hook your audience if you're giving a presentation? 30 seconds, 1 to 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 20 seconds, 1 minute, 15, 5. All right, we're getting some different answers there. It's 30 seconds on average is what you have to grab someone's attention and get them to pay attention to you. And there's several ways to do that. We're not going to go through all of that stuff today, but there are 4 primary ways to grab someone's attention with a hook, which is a question, a startling statement, a quote, or a story. So those are the 4 main ways to hook someone in at the beginning of a presentation. And then as far as overall audience attention span, how long do you think you have to really, of your audience's time and attention, how long do you think their attention span is on average? Drop that in the chat. 15 to 18 minutes, 10 to 15, half of your presentation, 10, 8, 20, 10. All right, we have a lot of people that are pretty close. Some studies have shown 9 minutes and 59 seconds. So not even a full 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 59 seconds, right? But the good news is this. So I gave you a little bit of bad news earlier. I'm going to give you some good news. Once we've hooked them in, and if we can keep them for that first 10 minutes, we can do things to keep re-engaging them, right? Bringing them back in, doing things like asking questions, making sure people are participating, breaking up the monotony with things, right? And then on average, people can only sit and listen for about 20 minutes. So anytime I'm teaching a workshop, whether it's an hour-long workshop or a 2-hour or a full day, I make sure every 15 to 20 minutes to break it up with something, because that's how you give that brain a break, let people do some activity, absorb all of that information that just got shoved into their brain, and do something with it before you throw new information at them. And this is why TED Talks are generally 18 minutes or less, because they know this, right? You only have about that amount of time to really keep someone's attention. And as I said, if you're using the right techniques, you can re-engage people over and over. So today, what we're really going to be focusing on is that elevator pitch, throwing that away and working on that introduction, that first piece of when you're meeting someone and making that first impression, and how to really start to build authentic and meaningful connections with people. So I'm going to share with you my 3-part formula today. And Jeff, I'm excited to see what your formula is as well and compare some notes here. But I'm going to share my 3-part formula with you today. And the first part of that formula is passion. And when you think about passion, this is talking about the what you do, right? It's more than just tasks and work product, which is what a lot of people tend to focus on. Show of hands, how many of you have been to these networking events where people just get up and list off their resumes or all the things they do or all the ways you can work with them? Yeah, I'm sure we've all been there, done that, right? And nobody enjoys that. You're not learning anything about the person. You're learning about their job tasks. So when you're thinking about your passion, you want to think about how you create a transformation for your clients. What are the benefits people are going to get out of working with you or partnering with you or hiring you? Whatever your end game may be, what are those benefits of you and your passion and the what you do? So, for example, for me, instead of, yes, I need to make it clear I'm a public speaking and communication coach and trainer, but that's not the what I do, right? If I started to get into an elevator pitch where I told you I'm a public speaking, communication, and confidence coach, and I teach people how to write their speeches and verbal and nonverbal delivery techniques and how to improve their mindset so they can build their confidence, you're probably going to start getting bored with that, right? Because those are just the things that I do. But if I focus on the transformation and the outcomes of helping you really find what your authentic voice is, how to really hone your message so that it's understandable to the people that you're trying to get that message to, and then being able to deliver it with confidence, that's more focused on the transformations you'll experience, the benefits you'll get out of working with me, right? So when you're thinking about your passion of what you do, think about it in the form of this transformation that you provide. And then there's this quote from Maya Angelou, which I love. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I see a lot of heads nodding because I'm sure we've all heard this quote before, right? And if you haven't, I hope you love it as much as I do. And really, this is what you want to think about when you're thinking about that transformation piece in the passion of what you do. So now what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have Rodney push you out into some breakout groups of, Rodney, should we do 2 or 3 people? We have 5 minutes.
I've got 3 people in each room right now.
Okay, so we're going to go into groups of 3, and I want you to work on talking about your passion. Take turns and share what your passion is and give each other feedback. I like to think of feedback in the terms of praise and polish, right? The praise is like, oh, I love that you explained it this way or said this. The polish is, you said this, what if you said it this way? Or what if you thought about it in these terms, to help really push each other out of your comfort zones in the way you think about things. So go ahead, break out, take about 5 minutes and take turns sharing that passion piece with each other.
Awesome, guys. I got 10:21. We'll go for about 9 minutes. I will see you guys back here shortly.
I'm here. All right. Am I
Awesome.
still
I think
sharing?
somebody caught Christine up to speed on what we were talking about when she jumped in.
Yes.
Good deal. Good deal. Thanks, guys. Keep going, Shannon. I'm sorry.
All right. Am I sharing the right thing again? Yes. All right. So great. And if you all want to take a few minutes as I'm chatting through the next thing and just start jotting down those notes of what you talked about and how you introduced your passion, we're going to end up putting all this together at the end. So let's move into, well, first I'll take 1 or 2 people. What did you think of that exercise and what did you get out of doing that?
I think for us, it was just clear, rather than having a broad statement, you need to clarify that statement and be a little bit more specific.
Yep, absolutely. We talked about that in our breakout as well. Yep. All right, Lamar.
In our group, Jeff was talking about what he does in marketing, and he was just throwing ideas out, and he sent a phrase that I think is really going to help him, is he provides material so that people want to learn more about his product.
Great. Do we have one more that has any thoughts? All right, well, let's move on. Let's talk about the next P in this formula, which is purpose. And this is the why you do what you do, right? We've already talked about the what we do, the passion, and we've transformed the way we think about that to more of a benefits-oriented thing versus a task-oriented thing, right? Not just go beyond just the titles, right? So our purpose is our why. This is our driving force. What makes us do the work that we do, right? Because people connect with people on a human level. We are humans who connect with humans. Show of hands, how many of you have ever spent more money or not even bothered getting other quotes and just hired someone because you knew, liked, or trusted the person and you just went straight there and you're like, I know it's going to cost me no more. I know. Yeah, I see this consistently, right? And it's always a unanimous thumbs up, hands up. Yep, I've done that. Right. And that's because we know that person. We like that person. We trust that person. We've built a human connection, a relationship with that person. And it's because you've seen that passion and that purpose come through in that person, whether you realize that's what it was or not. Right. And so this is where that passion piece comes in, me being passionate about wanting to help people find their confidence and find their voice and be able to express it in a way that's meaningful is because I struggled with that at one point in time. And when I found that voice, I know how empowered I felt. And now it brings me so much joy to be able to help other people feel that as well and be empowered. Like when someone walks in at the beginning of working with me and then leaves a different person in a good way, it just makes me feel amazing. That is my passion. That is my purpose, right? And so this is where storytelling can come in. This is where you can share a story, you can share an anecdote, you can talk about that transformation. This is what really builds that know, like, and trust factor. And this is also where it's important to be really authentic to who you are, right? Not putting on pretenses. We do a lot of comparing ourselves to other people these days, especially in the day and age of social media, like, oh, I like the way they said that, or oh, they have a ton of followers, or oh, they get booked to speak all the time. I want to mimic what they're doing. It's not about mimicking, it's about being inspired by other people and the authenticity. Find what that authentic thing is that's drawing you to that person, right? And then being able to, it's kind of scary to let I would say, open the kimono, let people in, let people see what's inside. But that's what really brings people and draws them to you. So it's that authenticity and just being who you are. So it's not being afraid to be who you are. It's what I said earlier of once I finally gave myself permission to be myself, that's when things changed for me. And that's when I see things change for all the people that I work with. And so when you're thinking about your purpose, I want you to say, you know, am I trying to walk and talk and act like someone else? Am I writing like someone else? Or am I writing like me? And if it doesn't feel like me, how do I make it feel like me? Right? That's where authenticity comes in and where you can really share your story, let people know who you are and why you do what you do. So I have a few questions here for you that we're going to do in the next breakout. And I want you to go through with your groups and answer these 3 questions. This is going to help you start to get into the purpose mindset. Why did you choose your career path? What do you like best about what you do? And what makes you feel accomplished? All right. So Rodney, can we break out in those groups? I'll throw that in the chat so that if anybody wants to copy that, because I don't think the screen sharing continues beyond that. But those are the 3 questions. Why did you choose your career path? What do you like best about what you do? And what makes you feel accomplished? All right.
Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to get them shuffled up there. They're all.
While he's shuffling them up, does anybody have any thoughts or questions about the purpose piece?
What if we change careers 2 or 3 times?
You want to focus on what your current passion
Okay,
and purpose
thank
are,
you.
because that's what you're introducing. I too have changed careers several times.
You're
It's
also
like-
making an assumption that your purpose is tied to your career as opposed to maybe the other way around.
It may be, but this is for purposes of focusing on a introduction for business, right? And you would change this up for different types of introductions, which we'll get to next.
Okay.
I'm muted. It might help if I unmute. We're back. All right. Did anybody have any thoughts on the purpose activity? We had some really good discussion around our purpose. Oh, hello. Am I still here?
Yeah, I think it's kind of when you have this brief, concise, let me tell you what I do, right, on the passion side, and then come out and kind of the story tells itself a little bit more of the holistic side of that person or what they're about, right? And so I think that's unique about it all when it comes down to talking, putting both of them together, right? The passion and the purpose.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? My screen share is not working. It keeps telling me screen share paused. I don't know why. Screen share loading. Stop share. It won't share my presentation
It's there for
anymore.
a while. It's a picture of a frog.
Yeah, but it's not sharing the presentation for some reason, just my desktop.
Oh,
So
Maybe log off and log on.
Well, we're not doing that. We don't have that time.
we don't have that time. So what I'll do is I'll just walk you through the next part, which is the perception piece. So that's the third P in it all. And it's how are you perceived, right? And that comes down to how do you want your audience to perceive you? And right before we went into the breakout, someone said, well, this is assuming this is for business. Yes, I very much structured this particular one for speaking in business, but you can take this same formula and use it in any type of introduction, right? This can be a personal introduction. This can be a professional introduction. This can be used when walking into job interviews or speaking to recruiters. This can be used if you're an entrepreneur looking to get new business, get new clients. This can be used in networking situations. The key is this becomes very plug and play. You want to think about these things of what drives you? What do you do? What's your purpose? What's your passion? And then that final piece of perception is how do you want those folks to see you? And this goes back to what I mentioned earlier of not just focusing on what are other people doing? I want to be seen like that person. This has to be authentic to you. So whenever you're talking about perception and how the audience wants to receive you, it's how do I want them to see who I am? What makes me authentically me? And it should really be a storytelling aspect of letting people see who you are. And when I'm saying storytelling aspect, this is a show, don't tell, right? It goes back to, don't just come out and say, I like to use the example of resumes, right? Because I used to go through resumes a lot in hiring process, and I would get, I'm a team player, I'm a hard worker, I'm good at multitasking. Great. Every resume I get says that. Show me that you are good at those things. Tell me a story. Tell me about a time that you did those things. And that's where storytelling really comes into this piece of it. And it's really wrapping up the passion and the purpose with how do I want to be received? And these aren't necessarily stacked 1, 2, 3 on top of each other. This is more of a holistic approach to how you build that introduction. What's that story you're telling? What's that through line and what you want people to know and understand about you? For example, with me coming from corporate and feeling like a corporate robot and even knowing better, still making all those same mistakes, right? How did that transform me when I figured things out? And how do I use that to fuel my passion to help people make those same transformations, right? And that's that through line story. So when you're thinking about this perception piece, this wraps around everything of how you're sharing your purpose and your passion with others. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Shannon, when you talk about storytelling, are you talking about a story that incorporates your passion and your purpose and is a story about you, or are you talking about storytelling that about something else that reflects things that are of your passion and purpose?
It can be both, right? You can you want to obviously inject yourself into the story because you want people to start to know, like, and trust you and connect with you and understand who you are. But you can also, if you have a little bit longer, right? We say we've got the 30-second elevator pitch, the 60-second, the 2-minute introduction. You have all these different opportunities. What you want to do is build a story bank. And that story bank should be stories about yourself. And it can also be stories about clients, customers, experiences that you've had that involve other people. And I call those the ones that are elevators, right? Those help to elevate your stance. So when you show a success story of how your passion and purpose aligned to help someone else, that really helps to seal the deal for people, right? It lets them know I'm not just lip service, but I'm elevating what I'm telling you by showing through this story how I helped someone else. Does that answer your question?
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. And I see some people did mention that they didn't choose their career chose them. They just kind of fell into it. And so that is something that happens, right? And one of the things I love asking people in networking situations is, why do you do what you do? And it always throws people for a loop, but it also helps me stand out in the room because a lot of times people go, oh, no one's really ever asked me that before, right? And most of the time I get a story from them about their why, what led them into that career choice. And sometimes it's just, I don't know, I just kind of fell into it, or I figured I could make good money at it, right? And that's okay too. But those are the whys, and that's what helps people understand. And if you just fell into your career, when you're thinking about your why, think about it in terms of, well, if I fell into it, my career kind of chose me. Why do I keep doing it? Right? What is the continuing driving factor of my purpose for continuing to do it? And Erica, do you mind if I shared a little bit about what we talked about? All right, great, thanks. Because Erica kind of fell into her career, it chose her. But she loves problem solving, and she loves being that person that gets to help people look at really complicated, seemingly impossible problems and show how by changing your perspective and your approach, we can come up with creative solutions without having to invent something new to solve this problem. And she loves helping people solve those problems in creative ways. So that helps her. That is her purpose. That is her why, right? In this instance, her purpose wasn't to get into this field, but that's what she does, right? Erica, add anything I might have missed? No, trying to unmute.
Just trying to unmute, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I fell into it. I like chaos. I like bringing order to chaos. The more chaotic, the better. And I just, like I was saying, I like to bring shoulders that are hunched down and brows that are furrowed, smoothed out. And so that's what I like. I like a challenge. I like to be approached with, this is not working. It hasn't worked in years, and we're done dealing with it. And I like to step into that and say, no, we can do something here.
Yeah, I like Jeff put cat wrangler. That you're a cat wrangler. We've all heard the herding cats. So, well, great. Now, any questions before we wrap up today? That's the basics of the formula, right? And it's really thinking through, where do all these things align? How can I infuse my passion and my purpose into what I'm packaging up and sharing out with other people, and tell it from a more storytelling, authentic, natural way instead of a memorized elevator pitch. And then think about the perspective on it. So the perspective comes in of, what story do I tell, or how do I change the way I explain my passion and purpose in a personal setting versus a networking setting versus a presentation versus something else, right? And that's where all those things kind of collide, and you can build as many versions of this as you would like based on that. But I will caution you this: do not memorize. Do not memorize a predetermined pitch or anything. That's why storytelling is so important, because it lets you just be natural with the way you share this. Yes, Rodney.
when it comes to the perception side of it, Shannon, is it better to kind of paint the picture and let the person proceed, figure out what they're seeing, or is it better to just be direct and say, I want to be viewed as this?
Yeah, and so when you're thinking about the perception, this is where you're thinking about who your audience is, right? Who am I coming in and speaking with? What is going to be important for them to know about me so that they perceive me as, for example, if I'm speaking to you all today, an expert in my field, right? As someone they can trust and someone that they want to work with, that they feel connected to me, that all of you feel connected to me in a way that says, oh, Shannon would be a good public speaking and communication coach for me, or I'd love to hire her to do a training, right? And so I want to introduce myself with the perception of that lens. Whereas if I'm in a different situation, it may look different, right? And so that's what you want to think about when it comes to perception. Who is your audience and what's going to matter most to them? And then altering what you say to fit them without losing the authenticity of who you are and making up things. Does that answer that?
It does. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or thoughts? Jeff, I look forward to comparing notes.
Do you have a few minutes after this?
Sure.
So I think we're running out of time. We can hang out and we can do that afterwards. I want to wrap up some things here because we got about 3 minutes left, guys. As I'm pulling up my stuff, I want to take some time for those that this is their first meeting to give them an opportunity to just kind of introduce themselves to the group. No pressure here because we just got trained on this, right, or whatever. Just let us know who you are, what you do, how we can help or whatever. And feel free to put your connection information in the chat so we can all get connected with you. Miss Vanessa, are you, there you go.
All right. So I am Vanessa Bongiorno again, and I am an HR executive. I thrive on partnering with the business to drive results through attracting, retaining, and training employees. I'm based in the Cleveland area, and I am in job transition.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Miss Christine.
Hi. I was trying to get to LinkedIn to copy my profile to add it to the page. My studio is Designs for Growth, and our strength is that we are your one-stop shop for graphic design, print and web design, and digital marketing, social and email marketing. Designs for Growth is here to help you do just that.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us too, Miss Christine. And Miss Erica.
Hi, Rodney. I'm insulted that you don't remember me.
You, Miss Foley. It's been a while though since we've had you on board.
Yes, I'm Erica Foley. I'm in flux. I'm in transition, looking for a role in HR, specifically in organizational development. I've been working on my elevator pitch, and I've said organizational change, organizational development, HR, and I think I'm going to say HR, looking for organizational development work. My passion lies in change management. I'm a change agent, and I like to see things where it was impossible, making it possible.
Awesome. And Erica has some talks that she's done with Copy Connect early on in like 2020 and 2021. So appreciate you coming back in and joining us. Let me share my screen so we can get wrapped up here, guys. Listen, in March 31st to be exact, on our anniversary date, we set out to have a goal of adding 100 new people to Coffee Connect this year. Right now we're at 19 for the year. If you've enjoyed the conversations today and you're here for the first time, right, feel free to email me at ccinfo@addictedtoconnecting.com. And I can get you on the invite list, guys, so you can continue to see what the topics might be from a week-to-week basis. As well, those topics are listed on the website, www.addictedconnecting.com, where we will also have all the playback. So sometime today, I'll edit and take away the breakout rooms from today's presentation and post those to the YouTube channel. You can go back and watch the playback on all the great wisdom that Shannon imparted upon us in case you were missing something in your notes. Those are always good things to have and come back to. Again, thank you so much, Shannon, for coming back to us. Looking forward to the other introductions that we talked about as well, of all the wonderful ladies that you spoke about in your emails with me. So next week, guys, we put in Shannon today for change management, but next week we've got Shane Hicks coming to talk to us about not finding your best self, but finding your best referral partner. Looking forward to having Shane on board. I'm sure he's not here today because there's tornadoes and everything else going through the San Antonio area. So prayers for him and his family and everybody else that's down in that area. We'll push change management and healthy conflict to the 21st of May. And then we'll move on with the topics, whether that's Sanford's dance party or whatever. And then security and things. Wesley Ramey is going to come in and talk to us about cybersecurity and some things that we need to be talking about. He's also a physical security specialist, and he brought some things to my attention that I was like, oh my gosh, right? We were probably all subject to some things that we did not know were making us unsecure in our lives with our physical documents as well with our electronic documents. So looking forward to having everybody back. Go out there, right? Introduce yourselves in the most professional and intriguing way that you can. Make somebody else say, I want to know more about you. Right. Love you guys. Go out there and have a great week. Right.
Rodney, save the chat.
I will save the chat. Yes.
Okay, and then share it with everyone.